Welcome, everybody, to the Esports Entertainment Virtual Non-Deal Roadshow. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, on behalf of SNN Network, and I'd like to introduce today's speaker. It is Grant Johnson, the Chairman and CEO of Esports Entertainment Group, publicly traded company. The symbol is GMBL on NASDAQ. Grant, take it away.
Thank you, Robert. Everyone, thanks for coming to listen to our presentation. As Robert mentioned, our symbol is GMBL on the NASDAQ, stands for gamble. So I'm just going to dive right in. The next slide up on your screen is, of course, the Safe Harbor forward-looking statements. We're all familiar with that, so I'm going to move to the first slide of the actual presentation. In terms of the company, who we are, where we came from, we have an approach to the esports industry with a play, watch, bet strategy. So effectively, whatever you want to do with esports within those categories, we have a product for you. So we operate a number of B2C wagering platforms. We have our Lucky Dino platform. We have our Sport Nation platform. We have our Vi.bet platform, and we'll be launching our Vi.gg platform in New Jersey later this spring. This journey started back in 2014 when I attended my first championship event, esports championship event. It was StarCraft, at which point in time I was completely enthused by the energy and excitement and the opportunity within esports. And from that moment to this moment, it's been quite a journey, to be sure, which kind of culminated in our listing last year. We're not even at our one-year anniversary on the NASDAQ. Since that period in time, we've done quite a few different things. I'll just give you a brief rundown. The first transaction that we closed was the Argyle Entertainment. That brought us Sport Nation and Red Zone. It also brought with it a 25-person team of gambling experts, a UK license, and an Irish license, and roughly $1 million a month in revenues. After that transaction, we acquired Esports Gaming League, EGL. You've probably seen quite a few news announcements recently with this. This is the tournament platform that we've been partnering with the pro teams in North America, the Eagles, the Broncos, Patriots, LA Kings, etc. After that, and just recently this last month, we acquired Lucky Dino Casino. This is about a 10-year-old iGaming operator. They developed their own casino platform. They have a high focus up in the Nordic regions, which is a big esports region, and they bring with them a roughly $30 million in revenues and $5 million EBITDA. So it was a very accretive transaction for us. We have entered into a definitive agreement with GG Circuit Helix, which we expect to close over the next 30 to 40 days. And this is really all about esports infrastructure. Helix operates a number of large esports centers, including the esports center attached to Patriot Place with Craft Sports, and GG Circuit is the industry leader in LAN center infrastructure with over 2 million users and roughly about 1,000 LAN centers running off their software. So for those of you who aren't terribly familiar with esports, albeit it is now mainstream, esports, just to make it tight and simple, it's just competitive video game play, generally by professionals, for a cash prize in organized tournaments. So the traditional esports titles would be League of Legends, Dota, Counter-Strike, Rocket League, etc. However, the NBA 2K League, FIFA League, Madden, if you're playing in an organized tournament, also qualifies as esports. Of the first group there's roughly 500 million fans of those traditional esports titles, but if we expand it out to the console gaming titles, the number is between 2.5 billion to 3.5 billion, depending where you're getting your market statistics from. It's a younger audience. It's digitally native, and the average household income is $75,000, so it trends higher than the average household income for a sports betting fan. page. Actually, before I move, the one element I want to bring to everybody's attention, a misconception about esports is it's the domain of young teenagers. If you look down there, the 25 to 35-year-old segment is the largest part of the demographic, and if we include 18 plus, which is for the tournament category, including and above, you're talking 85% of the industry is over the age of 18. So our strategy, what we're trying to do and what we believe we've done is build a better machine to monetize gamers and traditional bettors. So our focus, we look to acquire players, and we do this largely through our M&A strategy. We acquire pools of customers in both categories, gamers and traditional bettors. These would be iGaming, which is casino and sportsbook. Then we look to synergize these two groups by introducing the gamers to esports betting, introducing sports bettors to esports betting, marketing iGaming to sportsbook. So we get a lot of cross-marketing opportunities. So we increase the value of each customer by offering them more options for wagering or tournament play. And of course, we integrate all this with our in-house technology. We own all of our tech platforms, which was a big component. The ViGG platform is on the Phoenix platform. EGL is our platform. Lucky Dino is our platform. ViGG, which we're launching in Jersey, is all on our platform. And by the end of this calendar year, Sport Nation will be operating off of our platform. Excuse me. Okay. On our acquisition, as mentioned, M&A is a key part of our focus. You can see at the bottom of the page here where we built these categories in these two different buckets. On the gamer side, Esports Gaming Lounge, League, it's a 10-year-old platform. There's over 350,000 gamers who have used that platform, who are in our list now. GG Circuit, there's 2 million users around the world who have logged on and used GG Circuit software through these 1,000 LAN centers. Most of the LAN centers, you would know the names: GameWorks, Simplicity, Amuka, Helix, Vindex, Super League, Allied. These companies all use the GG Circuit. Our LANDuel product, which is specifically focused at gamers, this is a peer versus peer betting platform, skill-based betting platform. We'll be launching this in New Jersey, in Atlantic City, around Memorial Day. And our first game we're going to be running the tournaments with is going to be a Madden tournament. Once we have that launched, we'll be rolling that out through the ecosystem that we have. Vi.gg, again, this will be launching in New Jersey. We're just waiting for the software testing to take place. We expect this to take place and launch. Well, of course, the regulators are controlling the cadence here, but we expect that this will probably be in May. It could be early June. And then, of course, there's the Helix centers. Helix has 5 centers that are operational. One of the largest, if not the largest in the United States, is attached to the Patriot Place. It's 14,000 square feet, and North Bergen is the second largest at 10,000 square feet. They bring a specific expertise with them, and in the Helix centers post-COVID, we'll get back to the pre-COVID numbers, which was 6,000 people a week coming through those 5 centers. On the traditional betting side, Lucky Dino, as mentioned, this is a platform. It's an iGaming platform. They developed in-house. We now control it. This platform is for this full calendar year will do $30 million in revenues and $5 million EBITDA. It has has over 35,000 active members. Many more have signed on. Sport Nation and Red Zone here, these are traditionally out of, it's a sports book that we acquired out of the UK with the UK and Irish license. We have now moved Sport Nation to Sport Nation Bet onto our Malta license, so it can go extra-jurisdictional, and that we launched that campaign with our buy.bet platform in Latin America a couple weeks ago. So that is where our pools of players are coming from. Excuse me. So under our Play, Watch, Bet strategy, the intent and the reason for that strategy is once we acquire a customer within the our EEG universe, wherever the touch point is, wherever they come in, whether they're gaming from home, whether it's on the mobile, whether it's going to go to the Helix Center, gaming center, or if they come in through a casino. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. We want to make sure we offer them a product to get them to stay. The Lucky Dino people will, they like to, sports books and casino go hand in glove, and as we learned during COVID, that sports betting fans will bet on virtual titles of sports that they understand. So we just want to make sure when somebody comes to our site, we have a broad array of products to keep them betting, playing on our sites. So this kind of dovetails well into our whole education and cross-sell and cross-promote strategy. We have, at the core of all esports and generally online, it comes down to content. You offer enough information, enough reason, enough instruction to keep people entertained, to keep them active, engaged. And so we have a fairly broad array in our strategy on how to promote this, both in the esports betting, at the traditional betting, gamer, etc., and the tournament player. So we have a number of shows that we do. We do live streams. We're going to be live streaming all these tournaments with these big pro teams, on various platforms, Twitch, YouTube, and other streaming platforms are signed on, as well as on our own sites and the team sites. We have articles that are written every week. We have our Buy Esports site. We generate newsletters. Many of those are pushed out. We call it our Esports Push is one component of that. That's up on my link and our other social media. We, of course, have our social media content, and then all of the contests that we run, and this kind of comes back around to these big pro teams. Some of these teams have 25 million plus fans. So the intention is, every dollar we generate, with a customer, we certainly use our content marketing strategy to try and increase that, so that some sites, as you know, are just content specific, and they get their information on those sites, and then they go off to tournament sites or go off to gambling sites. We have the array to ensure that situation does not take place on our platforms. So sticking with the whole Play, Watch, Bet, it's our objective to bring esports entertainment, whether that means going to a physical center, watching, playing online, or gambling online. We want to bring this to the masses. So under our Esports Entertainment Play, we have 3 different platforms we work with here. When you're betting on the leagues, this would be like the Overwatch League, Call of Duty, the big pro teams, the FIFA League and League of Legends, and the teams like Liquid, Fnatic, the big tournaments where you hear about the Dota with $25 million purse. You would bet on those through buy.bet internationally, or in the States, in New Jersey, on buy.gg. For tournaments, where you want to engage and play against individuals in a bracket situation, playing for a prize. For example, when you play for a tournament with the Eagles, you'll be playing for season's tickets and signed swag. Some of the other teams, you play for an opportunity to go to the owner's box, or you fly on a plane to an away game, or where you get to have a day or a couple hours gaming with the pro players. So very exciting engagements there on the tournament side. And, of course, the land-based physical centers that Helix has. And with these centers, it allows, colleges, universities, pro teams, amateur gamers, friends come down. They can game against each other. They can watch an event. They can have, chicken wings and a beer while they're doing it. So, with our partnering with the traditional sports teams, Eagles, Union, LA Kings, LA Galaxy, the Ravens, most recently the Broncos, and of course the Patriots. It allows us to market our platforms to tens of millions of fans. Just in those teams right there, there's over 50 million fans that we have access to with those relationships. And of course, we run all of the technology from the physical centers runs, as I mentioned, off the GG circuit backbone. On our content side, of course, information content is at the heart of what how you acquire and increase the value of all the customers as you're educating them how to do various types of esports betting, how to join a tournament, watching tournaments. So it's a situation where the watch product, we're going to continue pushing out. We're in the process right now of launching an educational series on how to place an esport bet. What are the different types of betting? Pool betting, fantasy betting, betting, traditional sportsbook betting, in-game betting, micro bets. So we're going to be pushing those out along with the launch of IGG in later this spring. We're also acquiring additional talent on our content and public relations and in our media side. I can't speak any more of that right now, but you continue to follow us, please, and you'll see additional releases in that regard. On our betting, gambling, that was the core of the company. The EEG Bet, we got event betting. You're betting on the major tournaments. You have your sports betting, where in the event betting on the esports tournaments, you have your event betting, sports betting, which is on the Sport Nation in the UK. It's on sportnation.uk, and of course, sportnation.bet is the newly launched off our multi-license and marketing into the Latin America. Player versus player betting. This is a land duel product. We'll be launching in New Jersey later this spring, early summer. Casino betting, we have with Lucky Dino. We own the platform, of course, and fantasy betting. This is going to be on our buy.gg platform, launching this, we believe, May, but it, as mentioned, could be into April. So the in-game software, our in-house software, we call it Phoenix. This is where we're focusing everything we've learned about gambling from all the engineers at Flip Sports, the team over at Sport Nation, and everything we've learned about esports betting over the last 5 years. It's all those lessons learned are integrated into that platform, and we're utilizing a new look, new feel, new style of betting, again, which we'll be showcasing with the launch of our BuyGG platform. Excuse me. And of course, in all cases, we will be cross-selling. The cost of acquisition is, of course, brought down by doing that. In terms of data infrastructure, and I apologize for my voice, this has been an interesting week. This is the fourth conference. Every player that is on one of our sites, we collect and analyze the data. In the acquisition of Helix GG Circuit, Genji Analytics is part of that transaction, where of the currently about 2.5 million people that use the various sites, we're able to track how they play, how frequently they play, what games do they play. So it helps us design our offerings in the tournaments, the titles we offer. It helps us make a better product, better experience for the players. It also as with our esports lines that we're going to be using on the BuyGG. We'll be able to offer a wider variety of lines. We'll be able to offer, we'll be able to go below just the Tier 1 players, and we'll be able to double-check the lines that we're receiving from our partners over at Odin to ensure that we have the best lines possible. And, of course, I don't think I have to go too deep into it, how important having proper analytics, and you can never have too much data. And, of course, having the universe of GG Circuit and EGL and all the other sites, we can aggregate a ton of information very quickly, and so that we can stay ahead of products for our customers and make sure that we're doing the best job in terms of cross-selling. Because we've consolidated all these unique elements, online we have Vi and EGL, then land-based we have the Helix expertise and the GG Circuit software that drives that, the analytics that come from Genji, and of course having the LandDuel skill-based betting platform. We have two new verticals that have opened up to us that are not available to our competitors. One, clearly we've been executing on that quite dramatically lately, which is partnering with these pro teams and offering them tournaments for their fans. The next step, as is evidenced by the Patriot Place, the gaming center there, is our intention to have gaming centers in all the pro arenas and fields that we partner with. And of course, once we launch the LandDuel product, we'll be moving that skill betting product on that platform. It opens up a second vertical, which is the land-based casino market. Currently, the land-based casinos don't have a lot of product offering for the esport market, the demographic, the Gen Zers and the millennials. Certainly, the casinos do a good job at holding major events and bringing the fans in to see a championship event. They've done this very successfully for several years now. However, the problem is getting those fans to stay in the casino. And now with our offering, we can work with the casinos. They're natural partners for us, where we can bring them the online element of esports in our Vi and EGL. We bring that expertise in-house. We know how to set up the array. We got the software that runs it. And, of course, we have the betting product that has been missing in esports. And when we launch in New Jersey and have that proof of concept complete, we are in conversation with multiple land-based operators that are very interested to see how that goes. We're highly confident. It's been several years in the making, and we are making sure that the Department of Gaming Enforcement is involved in these decisions. So, in terms of here we are on moving to the financials. We've given guidance for 2021 of $18 million and fiscal 2022 of $70 million. These numbers are very conservative, we feel, in that they do not include any potential revenues from these tournament platforms with these huge pro sports brands, nor do they contemplate any revenues from LandDuel at this point in time. Once we have a quarter under our belt of the tournaments, our first one's kicking off next week with the LA Kings, we will adjust the guidance accordingly. Our fiscal year end is June 30th. The fiscal 22, that $70 million, only contemplates the companies I've been talking about. Doesn't contemplate any synergies we're going to gain there. It doesn't contemplate the tournament play or the LandDuel product. Given a market comparable, where do we sit? Well, currently we trade about between 3.5, 4 times our revenue. The comparables in our space, as you can see there, the median is 11 times. I believe there's been quite a bit of analyst coverage out there. There's four coverages out there by analysts that suggest the share price should be somewhere between $20 to $30 just to be on par with where we are. So there's tremendous upside opportunity in where we sit today and where we're going with the stock. And of course, this growth has been quite dramatic over the last 11 months. So, in summary, and I can get to your questions. So we have a vertically integrated product, of course, that offers the gamers an audience, whether it be traditional, casino, esports, allowing them all the opportunity to play, watch, bet, and stay on our sites. Our strategy, of course, magnifies every customer we have. If they want, again, tournament, betting, casino, sportsbook, etc., we have a product. They don't need to leave our ecosystem. Our current share price is less than half on a comparable to our peers. The company is certainly poised for significant growth, given that we haven't even included any guidance on what we believe will be two of our biggest revenue drivers. And as we continue to execute on our acquire, synergize, and integrate strategy, you will see adjustments in those guidance figures. Excuse me. A little bit about who we are. I should probably update that picture, but I've been in the online gaming business. I was one of the pioneers back 95 to 99. I was head of business development, one of the first big B2B providers. We put 23 operators up online. So my involvement goes back to the time before there was an online community of gamers and gamblers. Dan Marks, our CFO, he's got 18 years background working with senior or major global banks, but more importantly for us, for the last 6 years, he's been specifically the CFO and one of the founders from Argyle, and so his understanding of the gambling industry is extensive. Stuart Tilley, he is our Chief Legal Officer. He was the founder of Flip Sports, which is as mentioned, is engineers that have a specialty in developing gambling sites, and Stuart's been involved with the online gambling business since 2005. He's also the founder of Argyle, so brings a wealth of compliance and legal knowledge, as well as gambling knowledge, to the team. John Brackens, our CTO, he has been in the gaming business since coming out of college, but he's been involved in the gambling business for over 8 years now. He's worked with a major publisher, Blizzard Activision, and has worked with multiple gambling-centric companies, and now heads up he's our senior manager at our offices in Malta. Magnus Lepiniemi, he is, I need to upgrade his title there. He's the president of Esports. He's been in the esports industry since 1996, and those of you who are familiar with the industry would know him probably from his days with DreamHack. In fact, Magnus spearheaded DreamHack's move into the North American markets and brings a wealth of industry contacts and knowledge and running major events along with his skill set. Jeff Cohen. Jeff comes to us as a previous analyst, a gaming analyst with Stevens Bank. And it was one of the situations we were talking. He was considering initiating coverage. Liked the story so much, he joined the company. We're certainly pleased and happy to have him. Jeff's background, he did his undergraduate at Harvard and his graduate studies at Columbia. He's very well respected when he was an analyst, and certainly, we certainly are happy to have him on our team. In fact, for further follow-up and contacts, that's Jeff's information. He would be the person you would reach out to, so please, it's just his first name, Jeff, at esportsentertainmentgroup.com. I apologize for the long email there. It's because I refuse to pay squatters $1 million for the GMBL. That said, let me just move into the Q&A here. I can see there's a number of questions. Okay, well, if it's okay with everybody, I'll just take it from the top. We expect a decision from New Jersey this May. Some recent developments, A637 or 367, which is amending their existing regs to include the esports. It passed the House. It passed the Senate committee. It's expecting to get, it has the governor's support. It has the commissioner's support. We expect it to pass into law in May, which coincides well with our software testing. Okay, expand on the esports market recently announced. Okay, the South American, effectively what we're doing in South America, the Malta license allows us to market into, it's extra jurisdictional, it's unique in Europe in that regard. And we have launched, we've taken Sport Nation and Vi and launched them off of our Malta license with a focus on certain Nordic countries, but primarily into Latin America. So what we're doing right now is we're partnering with affiliates. There's a major push taking place. We'll be announcing it next week. We have, in the first few days of turning the sites on, there's roughly 400 people signed up in the first couple of days, and we've been accelerating that growth. So we're very pleased with the uptake. It is, in Latin America, the number one sport that's followed is soccer, football, European football, but it's also a burgeoning esports market, and we're very excited with the uptake there. But in terms of the marketing push, it's largely we're implementing all the expertise we've learned over the years from all the gambling individuals of various affiliate relationships, and we're executing aggressively, I guess would be the best way to put that. One mobile component of LandDuel. Initially, when we launch the LandDuel product, it's going to require a physical sign-in, and that is for an age verification. Because it is skill-based betting, it doesn't fall under gambling provisions, being 21 plus, but because it is playing for a prize, 18 plus is going to be a requirement, so we need some verification. So initially, we'll start with being in a physical center. The initial role is going to be in a casino. However, once proof of concept is done, we will be rolling it out through the Helix centers and then through the greater GG Circuit network, which is 1,000 land centers. Once you have signed on and gone through the verification process, it is our intention to allow people to sign in remotely from home, from their phones, and that is through the use of the GG Circuit at home software, because it's all linked back into the technology that drives it. And it's important to understand that when it's person versus person betting, it's not gambling, because your ability to win the prize is directly related to your skill in the game. When we have it in casinos, we have the ability to offer what's called back betting. So if two amateurs are playing, somebody else could bet on their game. That's gambling. That can only take place in a licensed environment, and that will only take place in likely casinos. Mine Bitcoin. Well, that's an interesting question, in fact. Yes, that's currently taking place. The computers, we've developed the software, and the computers in the Helix centers, when they are dormant, are doing specifically that. They do mine Bitcoin. So the straight answer to that question is yes, and we're doing it now. We do intend to roll that product out in the near future to the greater GG Circuit Land Center universe. Let me just see if there's a refresh here. Okay, just panning down. Plans to franchise Helix locations. No, we won't be franchising the Helix locations, but we do have an aggressive growth plan. We expect to build at least 4 more Helix centers this calendar year, and most of those locations have already been selected. However, if somebody's looking at franchise, I would suggest maybe the thing to do would be submit an application and join our team. Not familiar with the esports gaming industry. Well, the two most people who aren't familiar with esports, generally speaking, the two questions are, is this not all kids playing? The short answer is absolutely not. As mentioned earlier, the demographics prove out that the majority of the gamers are over the age of 18. The other question I generally get when it comes to, gamers, aren't they, reclusive? They like to stay at home, and there's some in basements around the world. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. Gamers are extremely social. Almost every game has an in-game chat. If any of you have been to championships, you would know for yourself that whenever there's a championship, it sells out in minutes. The last time they ran the Dota Championship, I believe they sold out in 90 minutes. They have events in Asia where 90,000 people will show up to watch an event. The only reason they haven't really been all that social, there just haven't been many locations for them to be social at. If you think of the United States, I would suggest there's either a football, baseball, or soccer field in every single town in the nation. In Canada, it'd be a hockey arena. I would say in all of North America, I'd be surprised if there was 200 esports venues. So it's a very social community, and in fact, we also learned during COVID and these partnerships with the teams, pro athletes are avid gamers, and many of them have millions of followers online who watch their game streaming. Another question that often comes up isn't there are a chance for a lot of cheating in esports gambling. I suspect it's true whenever there's money and people, somebody will always try and cheat the system. It's an unfortunate human failing. However, in esports, the average bet size, and we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now, the largest bet I've ever seen in all that time is under $300. That would be an average bet in sports books. So if you have bets in the $10, $20, $50 range, and you have a purse that's $10 million or $1 million, the chance of a player throwing a game because they've got a $50 bet in and risking incarceration or banned from a league is highly, highly improbable. It's not like a situation where I've never heard of such a thing as a $100,000 bet on an esport event at this point in time. So I would contend it's less likely in esports than it is in traditional sports. Skill-based, can you give an outline how fast you expect LandDuel to roll out to other states and other centers? Yes. Once we have the LandDuel product tested and we're comfortable with it, and I'd like to mention something here. To the best of our knowledge, and of course it's a big world out there, and there's a lot of smart people in it. So I can't say where everybody's at their product, but there's a couple competitors. There's a very large competitor, a mobile competitor in North America, who has a footprint in 41 states, who has never had any testing done of their product by a gaming commission, and has gone on record to say they don't intend to. We're taking a different approach. Given where you refer to as a Tier 1 operator. All our licenses are Tier 1. We're on NASDAQ. We're fully transparent. So we took the proactive approach of working with the Department of Gaming Enforcement, and they will be involved in this rollout. And we want to make sure they're happy, just so that we're touching all the bases, so to speak, as we roll the product out. Once tested in New Jersey and everybody's comfortable with it, it is our intention to roll it out through the GG circuit, not just the Helix centers, but through the GG circuit network, which represents roughly 1,000 centers throughout the United States, Canada, and into the European markets. We believe that this product will be of particular interest to the land-based casino operators, and certainly hope to explore as many partnerships, relationships as we possibly can in that category. Let me just see a refresh here. I think there might be a new question. Oh, yes. Okay. Are we renting the Bitcoin? We're not renting. The machines are leased to own. Most of the machines are owned by now in the Helix centers. So right now the mining, I don't have the specific numbers for you, but given it's a passive activity, the machines are programmed to start mining as soon as they're not being used for gaming. My understanding right now is it's around $2,000 a month that's generated passively in a center, but I suspect that's more of an average as opposed to specifics, because some of the centers have 200 units and some of the centers have 40 units, so it would be dependent upon the number of machines that are being used to mine. And currently GMBL, once the final audit is complete, which is going to be this month, and Helix numbers into our own, then of course they'll be reflected in our financials. Are there any other questions? Just to make sure I'm touching all the bases here. Okay. For those of you that are interested in what we're doing and the way we've approached it, of course, we're very different than the competitors. Generally speaking, companies are specialists at content, or they're game publishers, they're event operators, they're gambling sites, they're tournament sites. We integrate, with the exception of team ownership and game production, we integrate all the other elements into our diversified offering, which gives us that vertically integrated approach. Sorry, I've got some interference on my line there. I apologize. That's causing disruption. But that, again, I believe gives us a unique. If we look at just the way we're arrayed, we were the first iGaming company to list on NASDAQ. We were out before DraftKings. We did it during COVID when we had a market collapse this time last year. We are the first company to partner with these large pro teams on a regular basis. We're the first company to have a physical center attached to a major sports venue. When we roll the LandDuel product out, it will be the first of its kind that's gone through the process and gone through the process of being tested with a gaming commission. By GG, when it rolls out in New Jersey later this year, it'll be the first esports-centric betting site to be licensed in the United States. So we've got a lot of uniques, a lot of firsts, a lot of only. GG Circuit is by far the largest infrastructure software package that runs the land-based esports industry. So we feel we are uniquely positioned for continued accelerated or radical growth, depending on which word you're more comfortable with. And again, going back to the comparables in the marketplace, we feel we have the best upside of any of the other competitors in our sector, both esports and traditional. Are there any other questions for me? If not, I'll just remind you one more time that Jeff at Esports Entertainment Group, he is a former analyst and is very detail-centric. He most definitely, if you please reach out to him, he'll make sure that you get apprised of any updates, news releases, etc. And if there's no more questions, then I suspect that I'll thank everybody for coming and listening to our presentation, taking an interest in our company, and I hope to count you among our investors. Robert, is there anything else you need from me? All right. On that note, everyone, thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This does conclude today's event. You may disconnect your lines at this time and have a wonderful day. Thank you for your participation.